What's up, guys? It's McNulty here. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. Beach balls have arrived. It is the beginning of summer, and that means that we have our beach party event, which has just started. So we are getting ready to return to the beach, and we've got some new characters in the portal as well. Some very interesting looking characters in the portal. So we are going to have a look at them today. We're going to see what they're all about. And hopefully they are going to be doing us proud, because we have had a bit of a letdown in terms of the event summons or seasonal summons recently. So we're going to have a look at Mazoga, Zenuk'wa, the odd looking ice cream eater. I mean, just look at this character, honestly, and Mr. Davey, Wavey. So no new 4 stars in the portal this time. Just before we do get started with Mazoga, I just want to give a shout out to Rainbow Rider. So in case you guys don't know, we do have memberships on this channel now. And so I want to say a big thank you to Rainbow Rider for joining my memberships on the channel. Just so that you know, there are a few extra perks of being a member of McNulty's Beer Garden or McNulty's Coffee Shop. As things like, for example, priority replies to comments, and also I will help you in terms of one-to-one chat with helping to build up your rosters. I know I get a lot of questions and I'm not always able to respond to all of you in the comments. So if you are looking for some help and advice in terms of what heroes to level and which heroes are going to be best used specific to your roster, I would totally recommend signing up for the memberships. And of course, it does help the channel quite a lot. So that's enough said on memberships. So we are going to be moving into our hero review. So let's have a look at this lovely green lady, Mazoga. Okay, so just to recap, she is of the Beach Party family. Obviously, she's a nature hero. So for the Beach Party family, we get a bonus for 1, 2, or 3 heroes, where minus 20%, 40%, or 60% damage received from damage over time status effects. So that will apply to effects like poison, burn damage. Any kind of damage over time status effects are going to be reduced in their effectiveness by anywhere up to 60%. So that is a massive reduction. And a lot of heroes that do rely on elemental or damage over time, you're going to be able to reduce that with this family of heroes. So that is a really good start. I do like that family bonus. Now, in terms of the passives, we have got 2 passives for Mazoga. We've got damage over time on special. So when she casts her special skill, all enemies receive 378 water damage over 2 turns. Let's just have a quick check if this affects it. So I'm switching off the max power preview. You can see there it goes down to 254 water damage over 2 turns. So if we just take that, that's a pretty decent amount of water damage, 140 odd-ish per turn. So it's pretty decent, but it's not going to kill the enemy in one shot. So, I mean, you don't expect that from a passive, but it is good to have that extra bit of elemental damage there. And this character has an innate resistance against water damage. So that we've seen before. It doesn't come into effect that often, and there's not a huge amount of heroes that do deal water damage, so it's not really going to help you that much. I like the damage over time on special, but that one with the resistance water damage, it's not that great. Now moving over in terms of stats, we're looking at 1,018 on the team power. So this is the first group of heroes that we're seeing from a seasonal portal that have over 1,000 on their team power. So they're going to be pretty strong and pretty decent in the stats department. For Mazoga, we're looking at 1,065 attack, 966 on the defense, and 1,790 on the health. So really good attack and HP. A little bit squishy in terms of defense, but the attack stats nice, especially if she's going to be dealing some damage. So let's have a look at her special skill, which is called the Super Duper Spray. You can see she's got her like souped up water pistol in her hand that she's looking to use to deal some damage. So she's running at fast speed. At fast speed, she will deal 280% damage to the target and nearby enemies, and the target and nearby enemies get negative 24% defense for 3 turns. The effect duration resets if the target receives status ailments, and she deals extra damage against ice. Now, I believe the extra damage is about 50% extra damage, which is pretty decent, and she is in the right element to be dealing out that damage against ice characters. So the hit initially 280% damage to the target nearby. It's not that big of a hit, but she does have a good, decent attack stat. So I do like the fact that she's dishing out a pretty decent amount of damage there. The negative 24% defense, I mean, it would be nice if it was higher, but the effect duration resetting if the target receives status elements, you can kind of play around with that. So if you have another hero that deals out a status element, what you really want to do is fire off Mazoga and then wait maybe 1 or 2 turns, and then fire off your ailment dealer, and then you can reset the defense down. So I'd say she could be a pretty good part of a attacking team. I think that's where she's definitely going to shine the most. If you do put her on defense, she's probably going to want to be on the wing or in the flank, and you're going to probably want to put a ailment damage dealer maybe just next to her on the right hand side or on the opposite flank of the team, because then you're going to be able to potentially trigger it to where you can get that ailment damage going. But that being said, I mean, she's not super overpowered. She is a pretty decent defense down, but then you've also got in the this oh shit sorry so in here we do have, oh no we don't, oh she's gone. So I know we had Frigg in the last one. Honestly, this fated summon is so terrible, I've completely forgotten about the heroes that are in here. But yeah, we had Frigg, so probably most of you will have Frigg for defense down, and she probably does a slightly better job. But with that being said, the stats on this hero are a lot better. Yeah, I mean, I like the hero. I'm not going to say it's a terrible hero, but not the greatest. So we'll give her a B+ to start off with. Now, next hero, we're going to go with the ugly mug. I'm not going to do Davey Wavey just yet because I honestly want to have a look at this weird hero. What the hell has happened here? I mean, this is just the freakiest looking thing I've ever seen. I had, seen this when it was released in beta. Actually, somebody, shout out to Claythor, shared a picture of this hero with me, and I was just like, what have we gotten ourselves into? Just really crazy looking. Anyway, let's try and put our eyes aside for a second and have a look at what this hero actually does. So it's a holy hero, Zenuk'wa. I'm going to call it because I've got no better words, of the wizard class. So pretty decent talent, gets the jinx. So when dealing damage through normal attacks and special skills, 25% chance to deal 25% extra damage per each active buff. That's pretty decent. And then in terms of the family bonus, we get the same family bonus with the reduction on damage over time status elements. And then she gets the same damage over time on special. So again, it's up to 358 water damage over 2 turns, and the same passive with the innate resistance against water damage. So everything else the same and of the wizard class. And then in terms of stats, if we just switch off the max power preview, again, just over 1,000 on the team power, but a bit more defensively built. So 992 on the attack, just over 1,000 defense, and 1889 on health. So I kind of like those stats because defense and HP, I feel, do make up a little bit for being slightly underpowered. So I'm a fan of that. I think they are the right way round, and they are still pretty decent. Nearly 1,000 attack is always good. The special skill is called Ice Cream Smash, and it's running at slow speed. And Zenuk'wa will deal 275% damage to the target nearby. Okay, that's a very, very low hit for a slow speed hero. The target and nearby enemies then receive 225 damage for each received status element for 4 turns. Okay, so they're really working hard on this status element thing. And that's a pretty decent amount of extra damage that they get for any status element received for 4 turns. And that seems like it can trigger every single turn. The caster and nearby allies are immune to new status ailments for 4 turns, and they recover 225 health for each attempted status ailment. Okay, so I mean, with the damage aside, the downside for this hero is that unfortunately they're only casting their skill on the target and nearby and the caster and nearby. So it's technically only a hit 3 special, but actually it's a hit 6 special because they're affecting themselves and they're affecting the enemy as well. I do like that extra damage per status element, And I'd say that if you were to pair this hero up with somebody like Costume Rock, if you're lucky enough to have Costume Rock, then it just means that every single turn that sand damage is going off, the enemies are going to be receiving an extra 225 damage. Let's see the limit breaks and emblems. They do not affect the extra damage received, unfortunately. That would have just been awesome. But it does run for 4 turns, which is a pretty decent amount of time. It's a pity it's only to the target and nearby, to be honest. I wish this was for the entire team. And to be honest, I don't think that because it's a slow speed hero that it would have been overpowered if you made it for the whole team. I think it definitely reduces her sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Her desirability. That's what I'm looking for, by making it just to the target and nearby. And then the heal for the caster and nearby, it is only dependent on status ailments, but there are a lot of heroes that do give status ailments. So you're definitely going to benefit from that going up against an ailment heavy team. But then it's very kind of specific to that, so a little bit niche. And unfortunately, whenever you use the word niche, these heroes can't be used everywhere, and that definitely reduces their usability across the board. So I can't give Zenuk'wa anything better than a B. I think for the art, I will give it a freaking F or an A, depending on depending on what you're into. Just a crazy looking hero. Anyways, let's go away from Zenuk'wa back to the world of cartoons. And we've got Davey, Wavey. So Davey, Wavey's a 5-star ice hero. He is obviously of the same family, so we won't go over the family bonus again. He gets the same passives as well. But importantly, he is of the fighter class, which is awesome because it gives him the chance to revive. And he can get the master revive, where he also gets an extra 25% attack after revival. I really wish they'd made the Master Revive the mana gain after revival like they do with a Superior Revive. I think that would have been a lot better. But Revive, having said that, is still one of the better talents in the game. And then the defense up on the Ether talent, fantastic Ether talent for Davey, Wavey. At the start of each battle, he gets 20% defense for 6 turns, which is awesome. I love the Ether talent on that one, and the Bulwark talent as well. And then moving over to stats for Davey Waveyson. I just love the name. I love saying it. So his attack is just under 1,000, defense just under 1,000, and health of 1,917. All looks really good to me. And then in terms of the special skill, it's called the Waters of Nourishment, and he is running at average speed. So he's going to be healing. Basically, all allies regenerate 500 boosted health over 4 turns. The boosted health obviously can exceed max HP, but the effect duration resets if the status effect owner is hit with direct damage from a special skill. Thank goodness they didn't make this on status ailments, because that would have made this a pretty terrible hero. But the fact that this effect resets with direct damage from special skills is really the way you want it. If it reset from tiles, it would be okay, but not as good. If it was from ailments, it would be pretty bad. But if it resets from direct damage, it's that much better from special skills, because that's when you need the heal to keep carrying on. Now, granted, it's not a huge heal. 500 boosted health is only about just over 120. Yeah, it's 120 per turn. Quick maths. And it doesn't increase with the limit breaks and emblems, unfortunately. Now let's see what else he's got going on. All allies get 30% defense for 4 turns. Okay, it's a reasonable effect. It definitely helps protect your team. And all allies get 20% mana generation for 4 turns. Affects only mana generated from matching tiles or gained by the defense team at the end of their turn. Okay, I mean, this is a pretty decent healer. I mean, he's doing things the right way round, and I do like the fact that he is of the fighter class as well. So I'll give him a couple of brownie points for that. But all, in comparison to a lot of the other heroes, and I mean, especially in Ice, like Mario, and heroes like Nautica, for example, I mean, just a completely different world. I mean, even older heroes like Ariel will give Davey Wavey, will not just give him a run for his money, but they're just hands down better than he is. So kind of unfortunate. I'm not the hugest fan of Davey, Wavey. I think, you know, across the board for these heroes, I'd say that they're all pretty average. So we're going to go ahead. We'll give Davey, Wavey a B grade as well. I don't think he's bad, and I think he would be a pretty good healer. Probably more of a defensive hero than offensive, because heal over time can be a bit tricky on offense. But yeah, are you gonna level this guy just so you can have a good defensive healer? Unless you're a super whale, I would say probably not. And if you are, then you're probably going to have better heroes in the ice element for healing. So a bit of a letdown with the beach party family in all. There are still some good older heroes in here as well. So I feel like it's good to mention that. And they have received a buff. I mean, this guy's awesome. I love Mortimer. He gives a decent amount of damage, and also he what is it? The target nearby gets silenced, and the caster nearby resist effects that block the use of special skills as well. So he kind of gives them that sort of mana shield as well. Fantastic hero, Mortimer, and he's running at average speed, but he's pretty good. Flip's a pretty decent healer, quite unique. What's it? Misty. She's also quite interesting, but probably my least favorite of the other bunch. Interesting that we haven't seen any more 4-star heroes released into this portal. It would have been nice to have somebody to go alongside Itham. And then this was what I wanted to talk about. So Costume Rock, probably still one of the best heroes in here. The sand damage and the negative defense of 44% for 3 turns, and the team-wide dispel as well. He doesn't damage himself against things like counterattack, and the class as well is fantastic. Not really a huge fan of Rana, but I would say Sea-Rock is definitely worth an honorable mention from this portal. So congrats if you do manage to grab him. I would say that from these other heroes, I mean, aside from the fact that they look absolutely weird as shit, yeah, I'm not the hugest fan of the beach party, and not much more I can say about that. So with that being said, please do let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on these ugly, weird, and wonderful heroes. Let me know if you do manage to grab any of them and you use them to good effect, or you find some interesting teams and heroes that you compare them with. Drop us a like and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any future videos. And we'll see you all again in the next one. Bye for now.